going to be looking at all the games for Week 9, determine 13 must-start players, and then also look at other players that we're going to be starting in our fantasy lineups this week to help you get over the hump and get you into the playoffs. So what you need to do right now is click that subscribe button, tap it with your finger on your phone, click it with the mouse on your computer, whatever you need to do to get the job done. Every week, we help you set those lineups. Every week, we help you with the waiver wire extensively. We also help you get those trades done and everything else. If you have questions about your lineup this week, drop those in the comments below, and I'll get to them around Saturday night. I answer everybody's questions. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit that like button. Let's look at the matchups this week. Let's look at the players involved and everything else, and we're going to start things off. Dolphins at the Chiefs, 51 over under, and this one's an easy one to say because you look at these two teams, in your head, you already know you're going to be starting everybody. Anybody who's running routes a good bit, anybody you know that gets targets, anybody you know that gets touches, you're starting them. There's really not much analysis here. Even if they run bad, you know that's the process here. Vegas is saying it with that 51 over under. The one thing is this one's overseas. You might have some jet lag and stuff. That might impact something. That could be in the cards there. But honestly, you do not want to get too tricky with it. Baseline here, you're starting everybody. Tyreek Hill, obviously. Just about everybody. That Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert on the Dolphins. Run backs, Pacheco, Rashee Rice. You're starting everybody. Tyreek Hill's getting 11 targets a game almost, a 33% target share. All the air yards. Jalen Waddle's doing some stuff. You're starting your Dolphins. You're starting your Chiefs. Your ancillary players, you're using them as lottery tickets. And that's it, because you know this is going to be a banger. You know this one could be very high scoring. This one could be very fun to watch. And we're excited to see this matchup. And you're really looking at this matchup and you're like, yeah, I got to start my guy in here. This matchup breaks tiebreakers when you're looking at other players because you know that there's going to be points scored and that could go to your player that you're starting. So really you're starting everybody. That's just super easy to say with that matchup. But then we get to the Cardinals at the Browns. We got some quarterback transitions here. 37.5 over-under. One thing you're going to notice is the trend with the over-unders. They're low this week. That means we got some nasty matchups. A lot of them under 40, which is not good to see. But I think we can still get some fantasy production in this matchup because I look at the Cardinals. I know we can run on them. I'm looking at the Browns' backfield. I'm watching the health of Jerome Ford. That's going to be my determination here when I do my must-start play. If he's healthy, good to go. The Friday practice report, when it comes out today, when you watch this video, it should already be out or close to it because it's going to post here in a few hours. Kareem Hunt, Pierre Strong. Pay attention to those. Pierre Strong could be your lottery ticket at running back if you're hurting, because this is a good matchup. Everyone's scoring fantasy points on the Cardinals. Look at Gus Edwards last week. Kyren Williams. Anybody who plays the Cardinals goes off. Kareem Hunt could have a day. Jerome Ford could be going off if he's healthy and getting touches. Pay attention to these Browns' backfield. They could siphon each other, though. That is the risk here. But someone's going to be scoring some fantasy points because that's how it works. Even with the risky quarterback play, that means they're going to be using those backs. Backs are going to be able to move the ball. On the run backs for the Cardinals, Trey McBride because he's getting targets. Hollywood Brown because he gets deep targets and he's getting the target share. But you're not fully trusting it. Run backs are for the other team. Since I talked about the Browns, I'm going to be talking about the Cardinals. So you're going to know that for the rest of the video. That's also a thing when you're creating DFS stacks. So you're creating your stack for your main team. Say I'm doing it with the Browns. I'm stacking the quarterback with the wide receiver. And usually, if I'm doing that, I'm thinking the game script's going to hit. So I want a run back player with that. So I look at the other team. Who's going to benefit from this game script? That's what you're looking at. This is a game script you don't want to make stacks on, but I want to explain what run backs mean. Trey McBride getting targets right now should be involved in offense, should be getting some opportunities even with the quarterback play. That doesn't mean he's going to hit. That doesn't mean things are going to be grand for us in fantasy like it was last week, but look for him to get 7 to 10 targets a week. This is a nasty matchup, slow-paced game. Like Vegas says, it should be low scoring. That being said, we're going to the Vikings and the Falcons. Another low over-under here. 37.5. Quarterback issues with the Vikings right now. That's going to be very impactful. They're on the road. The Falcons' defense is a little sticky. That's going to be hard to navigate. The Falcons like to run the ball a lot. Can the Vikings still be fast-paced, or are they going to slow it down? We're going to have to see. They're probably going to slow it down because they were one of the fastest-paced offenses in the league over the last 2 seasons consistently. So that being said, I expect the Vikings to be a little bit slower because you got a new quarterback in there. Justin Jefferson's out. You're going to be a little bit slower, and I understand the low over-under with this one. Drake London, because you can throw in the Vikings still. That's what you're going to want to do against this defense. You're going to want to chuck that ball around. 7 targets a game, 22% target share, almost 70 air yards a game. He's been productive this season. Run backs Jordan Addison, because if I'm a new quarterback, if I'm stepping up there, I'm going to be looking his way. He got Kenny Pickett drafted in the first round. You said Kenny Pickett last night? Kenny Pickett got drafted in the first round because of Jordan Addison. So targets could be going his way. I don't trust it, but we got to talk about this matchup. Same thing with TJ Hawkinson. I mean, young quarterbacks like to target the tight end. That's just a thing that happens there because they are the security blanket. They're the outlet, especially if they open over the middle or out in the flats on the shorter routes. That could be a thing here. But really watch this game, especially the Vikings, for trends going forward. Maybe you can pick some players up due to inconsistent quarterback play. But watch those trends. Drake London probably good to go this week. Seahawks at the Ravens. 44 over-under. So we're middle of the road here. 45 is about middle of the road for the over-unders. 50 is about in the high range. 49, 50 or so. And then you're low when you're pushing 40. So they're right in the middle here. So we should expect a little bit of fireworks. Maybe some good scoring here. But really, when we look at this game, Zay Flowers, you can throw in Seattle. You can throw in Seattle a little bit. Look for him to get some targets, some opportunity. Look for him to do something with it. Look at the pass catchers on Baltimore. Maybe we get a little uptick. Maybe Rashad Bateman does something. He has been looking a little bit better. Remember, he was coming back from that Liz Frank, slowed him down a little bit. Actually came out, started the season a little bit slower. Over in the spring, into the summer, we were saying, don't buy Rashad Bateman in Dynasty right now. If you want him, get him at the start of the season because he's going to be damn near free. He's damn near free right now. Get him if you want. That might end soon in some of these good matchups if he does something. But run backs, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, they're getting the targets. They're getting the air yards. Tough matchup here. When it's a tough matchup, you just go with the top guys and stay away from the ancillary jabronis. So DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett here for Seattle. Maybe some Jackson Smith and Jigba if you want to gamble a little bit. But the targets went down last week. Now we're looking at the Chicago Bears at the Saints, 41 over-under. Another low-scoring guy. Another one. This one could be ugly on us, as we got the Bears here on the road, and we know the Bears create weird game scripts. The Saints getting weird game scripts too, where it's either high-scoring, a shootout, a lot of air yards going to the wide receivers, or it gets kind of ugly. It's been off and on. The thing is, though, Alvin Kamara might have his day here. You can run on the Bears. People have been running on the Bears all year, and they're going to use them in the passing game. Chris Olave is due to have a comeback game. They're at home. If Kamara's hitting, that's going to open things up. Chris Olave might be getting some targets, getting some opportunities. Run backs, you don't trust the Bears, especially against the Saints defense here. So go with the stud here, or the top guy, whatever you want to call him, DJ Moore. Gets you yards after the catch. It's going to be seeing some opportunities. You got some speed there. And really, you don't trust it. You don't really trust Bears anyways. You can't. But still, Alvin Kamara is a lock this week. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Houston Texans. We got a 40 over-under. The thing about this, the over-under might hit the under or right around the 40 range and be a lower scoring game. But in some of these matchups with Tampa Bay in them, when it is a low-scoring game, you still get a fair amount of pass attempts, and Baker Mayfield still chucks it downfield deep, which could equate to fantasy points for some of these wide receivers. And if they can push that pace, then you got to push the Texans. The Texans' offensive line issues could create some havoc for us in this game when it comes to overall production for our players. But again, this one could break out a little bit, especially for fantasy production, due to the nature of these teams And due to how Tampa Bay is kind of a pass funnel team where it's better to just keep chucking the ball in the air because they stuff the run, look for Nico Collins to get right. Look for him to get some targets and do some things. Also, Tank Dell, Bobby Woods. Look for them to get some opportunities. Look for them to throw the ball. Offensive line, can they hold up? Can they do that in this game? That's going to be an indicator of whether these players can go nuclear. But running the ball, Dameon Pierce with an ankle injury, Devin Singletary is not a god or anything like that. So really, we're looking at the wide receivers there, hoping they bring something out. And if these wide receivers can hit, that means Tampa Bay is going to be pushed to really sling it downfield, and their wide receivers are probably going to hit because they like to chuck it deep or dish it down to Rachaad White. So look for this game to be a good stack in DFS because we got a 40 over-under here. So the consensus is going to look at their models or look at this matchup and may think that since the implied point total is kind of low, that they may stay away from it a little bit. So you may be able to get some good stacks for you in this game that's not heavily coveted for those large tournaments in DFS. That's something I want to look at. I feel good about a lot of these players, not great. So again, this is a matchup I'm looking at. Rams at the Packers. Matt Stafford's dealing with an injury. We got to see what's up with him. If he's out, this could be an ugly one. It's going to be a hard one to know who to start. But again, 38.5 over-under is what Vegas is saying. Vegas is saying, hey, more than likely he's out with that point total. But that's going to move quickly if he's back in and looking good. That being said, Stafford out of practice with a thumb injury. Puka Nacua, you're looking at him nonetheless. Cooper Kupp still. They're just going to get the targets. They're going to be getting opportunities. That could change. It might not be significant must starts. They might be just guys getting targets and opportunities if he's out that you're putting in your lineup instead of confident plays. Run backs. The Packers wide receivers. Like I say in a lot of videos, one's usually going to hit, one's usually going to be mid, and one's going to be all right. And that's what we're looking at with these wide receivers here. You don't know which one's going to do what each week. It's kind of moved around each week. But again, we're looking at those Packers wide receivers. But it could be slower than expected in this game, especially with the Rams on the road. Thinking about that, this is a game you want to be leery with. You want to watch Stafford here. Now we're looking at the Commanders at the Patriots, 41 over under. Another low point total. That's the trend here. We're not scoring a lot of points in these games. But the Commanders dealt off some defensive players this week in trades. The Patriots have been hurting this year, have not been on the ups this year. But again, Demario Douglas, 7 targets and a 25% target share in Week 8, getting opportunities. You can throw on the Commanders. They're averaging 30.1 PPR fantasy points per game. The wide receivers, worst in the league. Run backs, if the Patriots can throw the ball in this game, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, they're gambles. McLaurin's the safe one. Dotson and Samuel, one of those are probably going to do something. If this game script can get pushed, it could hit the over on this one, or at least be a fascinating matchup where both teams are moving the football back and forth. It's tight at the end, and these wide receivers are scoring some points. You just got to figure out which ones. Colts at the Panthers, 44 over under. We're on the middle of the road here when it comes to projected point total from Vegas. Spread's kind of tight. We got the Colts on the road, Gardner Minshew. Panthers can make game scripts dirty, low scoring, so I wouldn't be surprised if they hit the under, but the Colts really got to do some things. But you can move the football on the Panthers on the ground here. Jonathan Taylor's the guy to do it, but also Zach Moss is getting opportunities too. So we're talking about both these running backs. Zach Moss is not a must-play, but a guy you want to think about. Jonathan Taylor is a must-play because, of course, it's Jonathan Taylor. Run backs, Chuba Hubbard getting opportunities. You want to watch his workload. Make sure he's getting the same amount of touches this week. Adam Thielen, because he's been getting the workload as well, getting a lot of targets. A trusty option in this offense. Giants at the Raiders. O'Connell's going to be in at quarterback. The Giants have been the Giants. This could be a funny game. This could be a funny one. That's my take on this one. I don't really want to start anybody from this game except for maybe like Saquon, maybe Josh Jacobs, maybe your basic guys. And when you look at a game like this, that's all you're starting, those basic guys. So we're going to be a basic-ass bitch here. Devonta Adams, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. Aiden O'Connell's in. He looked good in the preseason. I want to watch him. I want to watch this experiment. I'm excited about him, not for fantasy, but for football and watching him on TV. I can't wait to watch that, but we're going to be basic-ass bitches with this matchup here. Cowboys at the Eagles, 47 over-under. Considering the rest of the matchups on the slate, any other week, if the matchups were more competitive on the point totals, you'd be picking your spots with this matchup, but here you're starting your guys. You're starting your players, and you're hoping they hit because the points could be flowing. The pass attempts could be flowing, especially when you can throw in the Eagles. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, all those guys you're taking gambles on. Lamb's the must start, the easy start. Cooks is a guy that's been hitting in fantasy points. Michael Gallup's getting target share still, about the same as Cooks, so it could be a Gallup game. Look at those guys as 50-50 on whether they'll hit or not, but a good matchup for them. Run back your Eagles. Run back your Eagles. Really, it's Cowboys versus Eagles in your fantasy lineups. Anybody's running routes, seeing targets, getting touches, you're starting them here, especially since these matchups are kind of poor this week. Bills at the Bengals, 49.5 over-under. I think this is a game that could be ugly, and I think this is a game that could be very high scoring. I think you're not going to meet in the middle here. I think it's either going to be nuclear or it's going to be dead. That's going to make things a little bit of a gamble because I can see the Bengals defense locking things down a little bit. I can see things being a little bit slower than expected, but I can also see both teams just going ham. And I hope they go ham. I could see them going ham. Vegas is saying that, but when you see these two logos in a matchup together, you automatically think that. But thinking that through, Bengals can be in some crazy game scripts. The Bills have been in some game scripts, just a few of them this season, where it's been a little bit lower on the point totals. So that being said, I still see this game going off, but I got to call it out both ways. Joe Mixon getting some opportunity in the run game. You can run on the Bills a little bit. You don't really want to. Usually the game script's pushed from one way or the other with this team because their offense can move the football. You're starting your Bengals, though. Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You're just starting them. And then your run backs, you're starting your Bills. Stephon Diggs, James Cooks, Gabe Davis if you want, because he is a deep threat. He's a lottery ticket that can splash on you. Khalil Shakir if you really want a lottery ticket, just in case they got to progress in the reads. Dalton Kincaid, another one. He's a start because he's getting targets in this offense right now, and it's explosive. So really, you're starting everybody in this game. Looking at this matchup, Chargers at the Jets. The Jets defense makes things tricky. The Chargers offense can move the football, but against a defense like this on the road, Vegas is saying, hey, cool it down here. It might be a slower one, and we're kind of feeling that way. Breece Hall, though, you can run on the Chargers a little bit. 23.8 PPR fantasy points per game. The running backs from their defense. Breece Hall should be having a decent game this week. Almost a 60% opportunity share. Run backs, just your basic bitches here. Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, just keeping it basic against a top-flight defense like this because you do not want to start ancillary jabronis against top defenses or in tricky matchups because you never know what you're going to get. They're not dependable, and they could hit because you got to progress down to some of those guys sometimes when the defenses are tough, but you don't want to bet on it either. Those are the must-starts from Week 9. We also covered a ton of other players. We covered the matchups. We'll be talking about the sneaky starts tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and stop missing out on this content, helping you set your lineups, helping you get through the waiver wire. If you have any questions, drop that down below in the comment section. I want to thank you for watching, though, and I'll catch you on the next video.